Hello, Gary Rogers here. Welcome to the Spiritual Heritage Channel. Today I want to talk to you about some early settlers to the city of Christchurch, New Zealand, my home city. The first 760 settlers to Christchurch came out in 4 ships. We call them the first 4 ships, very iconic and well known to most Canterbury school children. They were sent out by the Canterbury Association. One of the things that they required at the time was that they had to get a certificate from a Church of England Anglican clergyman in order to be able to come here. The clergyman also issued certificates to some Methodists. There was a family by the name of Quaife, Mary, John and their daughter Anne, who were travelling here on the ship, the Cressy. As they were travelling down the Thames, going past Gravesend, this family were up the bow of the ship and they were singing the Isaac Watts hymn. We're marching to Zion, Zion. We're marching to Zion. We're marching upwards to Zion, beautiful city of God. Now, they were marching, this hymn says they were marching upwards. They weren't talking about an earthly city here, they were talking about a heavenly city. That's where they had their eyes set on. As they were singing this, there was another man on the ship. His name was Joseph Patrick. And when Patrick saw them singing this hymn, tears started coming down his cheeks, because he realised there were other Methodists on board the ship. On another ship, which left at the same time, the Randolph, there was a young family by the name of Philpott. When they got to Lyttelton, Isaac Philpott gathered his family and they held a church service. They sang hymns, they prayed, and they read the Bible. When they went over the hill from the port of Lyttelton to Christchurch, they found that the land hadn't been fully surveyed, but they were allowed to settle in a big park called Hagley Park. And they built little V huts there. And these huts, quite small, and they built them from materials from a local bush. Mary set up a separate room in their little V hut, and she used this for teaching Sunday school. There were lots of children in the park before they dispersed, and this Sunday school grew. And in the end she needed extra help and asked Isaac Philpott to help her. Every day there was a Church of England clergyman who would come to them and would try and shut it down. He thought that only the Church of England could do something like this. Anyway, eventually Mary Quaife, she held her ground and she issued the royal decree of Queen Victoria, and she said, Queen Victoria grants freedom of conscience to all her subjects. From that day on, no one bothered her. The clergyman never came back again. I like this story at the beginning of our city because it shows the power of a royal decree. Sadly, Mary's and John's daughter Anne, shortly after, was drowned in the River Avon that runs through the city, through the park. That was their only daughter. They never had another daughter, but it didn't stop Mary. Mary continued to set up and teach Sunday schools all her life. This story tells us the power of a royal decree. When this royal decree was issued, the enemy, the trouble that she was facing, it backed away. There are many royal decrees in the Word of God in the Bible, and we can use these royal decrees to defeat our spiritual enemies. There's one royal decree I'd like to share with you today. This is more of a personal decree. You might be going through a lot of difficulty at present, but this decree tells about how God feels about you and what His plans are for you. I'll read it now. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. You can take this royal decree and you can say it out loud, and you can defeat your spiritual enemies. I hope this video has been used to you today, and there are other videos on similar subjects on the Spiritual Heritage channel. Thanks for joining me.